Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to Yippee-ki-yay, Mother Podcast Classic. I'm Ralph Quattrucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Deborah Murphy.
I'm John Quattrucci.
And I'm Uncle Al.
Uncle Al!
Welcome back, Uncle Al.
Welcome
It's been a
back,
while.
Uncle Al.
Thank you. It's been a while.
And he's got is that a virtual mask I'm seeing?
It is a virtual mask.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Nice.
How you
We have
doing,
to
Uncle
talk through a
Al?
mask anymore.
Very nice.
How are things? How are things on your planet, Uncle Al? Good?
They're excellent. I've been eating cats.
Oh.
You've been
that
eating
sounds-
what?
Cats. You know, like Alf.
Oh,
Cats.
interesting.
There's
No,
it's
no
good.
big Alf fans, I guess.
Would you eat my cat,
I like
please?
Alf.
I like my cat to get eaten.
No, Bart is very nice. I would not eat.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. All right, so we got a good movie to do tonight that Sean brought to the table that actually takes place in 2022. You can tell by what I'm wearing what it might be.
But not by your background. I have no idea. I just
That's my tribute to Chris Coker, his blockbuster years, and that's
because
to
Chris couldn't
play-
be on it tonight.
yeah, it's a rewind is divine. You know, I got an
Yeah.
old tape and I just got nostalgic for VHS.
Oh.
So yeah, Sean brought the film, but before we do that, we'll do a round of what you watch. Al, I'm sorry I didn't mention this, so you don't have to join if you don't want to, but if there's something that you think of, let me know. Let's start with Sean
I
and
got
Debbie.
something.
What'd you watch this week?
Well, we watched a film that the Quattrucci brothers on Cue It Up did a whole episode about. Nobody. Starring Bob
Okay.
Odenkirk.
And
Odenkirk. What'd you think, Debbie?
Loved it.
really,
I loved it too. I really enjoyed the film. You didn't like
that's
it?
so funny. I did like it. I just thought it was a little too much. It was trying to be a John Wick. But I like
Same.
Odenkirk. I thought,
Breaking Bad. It followed the format of Breaking Bad, showing the very ending when they're asking him,
Oh,
"Are you?"
yeah.
And that was the end. Sort of like what Breaking Bad, how they start their episodes.
yeah,
Think
I
about
guess. I mean, but he was a bad guy that went good and then went bad. He wasn't really bad. He was protecting like people
No, it's
coming
just
after
the
him, if I
format.
remember.
It's just the
Yeah.
format, how they brought the first scene in.
Yeah,
The
I mean, I
endings-
guess
and they.
I guess
they-
I don't understand the Breaking Bad reference, but other than he was in Breaking Bad.
Well, I think that's the point Debbie's trying to make. He was in Breaking Bad.
No, that's not the.
I know.
You know
I'm kidding.
You know how they
Sean, you
often
understand
started.
me, right?
You know how Breaking Bad, they often started at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, even like the first episode, it started with them pulling the RV over to the side. You have no idea what's going on. And then later, in those later seasons, there's like body parts and all
Oh,
floating.
so they drop you in as stuff going on, and then they tell you later down the road.
And then they
Okay. That's a trope.
I
What's
just
that
liked it
trope?
because he was such an unlikely action star. And he really pulled it off. And he gets wailed on in that movie. It's not like he,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
the fighting is
it's not
good.
like he's
The fighting is-
Superman. I mean, he gets really beat up in it, but I loved it. It was just, for me, it was John Wickish, but I thought he was so good in it and really made it an interesting character. I liked it a lot.
I also like seeing Christopher Lloyd again.
Yeah.
I was just going to say it was fun seeing him. That's for sure.
He
I
was
loved
also
him.
in that Amazon movie too. What was it? The Tender Bar recently as well. The George
Oh.
Clooney director. So it's good seeing him back
I loved him that he could still kick ass.
at his age.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, that whole scene.
Yeah,
That
'cause
scene with
that's
the
super-
shotgun. That was great.
super realistic. Those kind of films with that. So yeah, I agree.
We also saw. We also were watching what you guys recommended. I'm trying to do it, Drew. We started watching Archive 81,
Yeah,
which
and
we find don't tell us it turns out bad because
I haven't. I haven't seen past the third show.
that's where we're at. Too.
We're at the
Yeah.
that third. And you know what?
It-
What haunts me is you said that it's you said something about the show.
that you're afraid it was going to go bad.
You were afraid it's going to go bad. I felt that same way too.
By go bad, you mean just turn out to be
Because
not a
it-
good series?
The conclusion isn't good. You were
I
saying.
read a
You've only
headline that
watched 3
said
episodes, Ralph, after last week.
because I just didn't feel like getting back into it. It's a hard,
Oh.
it's just I got to invest in that. And it's
So
just
then you don't
hasn't-
recommend it.
I told you the only reason I recommend it is because of all the equipment. That's in it.
Equipment porn.
Equipment porn. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
you don't
that's
like
right.
that, but that's
I
what it's
agree with
called.
that.
Well, no, I know, but Al, he uses that for everything. It's nostalgia
I
porn.
don't use that
it's
for
trope
yeah,
porn.
Yes. I didn't invent that. That's out
No, I
there.
know.
Nostalgia porn
I
is
know.
out there. Al, have you seen Archive 81, 91, whatever
I
it
saw
is?
the first episode. I didn't feel the need to go any further, but
There
I
you
did
go.
enjoy seeing all the equipment porn.
Yeah, did you see the girl go to the
the
store and
high
pick up a
camera?
PXL 2000, the little Fisher Price thing, the
I
camera, and
did
she
not
points
see
it
that
at the
one.
girl? Yeah.
I used to sell
I
that.
mean-
I used to sell that camera.
I have 2 of them now. Those things are
Yeah.
worth some dough. Not as much as your Tom
Oh
Brady
yeah, they're
stuff, but
about
it's okay.
$10. Yeah.
Yeah, more than
And I
that.
used to record onto like a cassette tape.
Audio cassette. Yeah,
Yeah. Audio. Yeah.
yeah. So, it's cool.
Yeah,
John,
I-
what'd you watch?
Music video on that in the 80s.
I
there was a-
talked
there was
about
a-
this.
There was a
I'm
hang on a
sorry.
second. There was a vampire film that was shot in the 80s too with the PXL 2000 as the vampire's view.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What movie?
I don't know.
Oh,
Vamp.
Vamp with Grace
I'm
Jones.
I'm just saying that. Yeah.
Look it up. Look it up.
Okay.
I mentioned this on Cue It Up, but I finished watching the show. So I read a lot, and one of the books I read are the Lee Child Jack Reacher novels, which are great. I love the books, and I actually like the Tom Cruise movies. But if you're a Reacher book fan, Jack Reacher is 6'5", 250 pounds, not 5'7", 170. So there's a show on Amazon called Reacher, and the guy they have playing the lead, his name's Alan Richardson. He's gigantic, and when you see the guy, you see Reacher from the books, and it's 8 episodes. And at the time we did Cue It Up, I had only watched 3. I watched all 8. Great show. It's the 4th most watched thing ever on Amazon Prime, and they've already renewed season 2. So if you like a lot of action and you like, the good guy wins the day, this is the show to watch. And I recommend the books too. If you like to read the Reacher novels, they're awesome. And like I said, I did not dislike the Cruise movies. I would say this: if you never read the Reacher books, you would like the Cruise movies, and it would be fine. But if you read the book and see him, the whole point of Reacher is he can't hide in a crowd because he's so big, he's so gigantic, he stands out. And that was the opposite of the Cruise movies. What, Deb?
John, are you saying that Reacher is sort of like to Tom Brady?
Well, this guy's not pliable like Tom Brady. I mean,
Okay,
Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady
Actually, Tom
retired.
Brady is
Can we-
6'5".
Stop talking about Tom Brady, please.
Hey.
Tom Brady is out. He's done.
I got to listen to equipment porn every week. You can listen to stuff about
every
Tom Brady,
week.
all
Oh,
right?
it's so horrible. Okay.
Every
How about
single
some
week.
Tom Brady porn.
By the way, he said today they
Don
asked
would
him,
pay
would you
for
ever
that
come
for
back?
sure.
He said, never say never. That's what Tom Brady said today in an interview.
Are you kidding?
I kid you
Yeah,
not.
he might go play for San Francisco,
He
which
will
is his
not play
dream.
for San Francisco. He's going to be a Patriot.
That's his dream. He grew up there.
I know.
He grew up.
And they're getting rid of
rooting for
Garoppolo.
Joe
Garoppolo's
Montana,
out.
Right.
San Francisco. He's out.
Okay.
So
Okay. Enough
could happen.
football. No football. All right. Here's what I watch, and you guys all have to watch this
Football
on
porn.
Netflix. On Netflix, it's a documentary, 1 episode called "The Tindler Swindler." Has anybody seen this?
The Tindler
The
swindler?
The Tinder Swindler.
Oh, Tinder swindler.
Oh,
About a
okay.
guy. It's a guy who goes on Tinder and pretends he's a son of a diamond dealer from Israel, and he cons all these women to fall in love with him, and he eventually steals their money and asks them to send money. And it's an amazing story because it focuses on 3 women who get caught up in his web, and they are the ones that kind of take him down in various ways, and they figure things out. And it's just an amazing. And the guy's still walking around. I think maybe, I don't know, but you got to watch this thing. It's crazy.
Oh, he's not in jail?
I don't know. I don't want to give too much away because it's the doc kind of delves into a couple different things, but he had women everywhere. So it's like he created a big giant Ponzi scheme where he'd have women pay so he could take another woman out and eventually try to get money off all these women. They'd rack up credit card debt. They would do all kinds of stuff to help him because he was telling them because I'm in the diamond business, people are chasing me. He'd give them, an $18,000 budget a month to go rent an apartment for them to live together because he fell in love with this person. And meanwhile, he's sending FaceTime out to these girls, and he's sending all the same FaceTime. All he does is change their names. I mean, the guy was, how he kept up all the detail, I have no idea. But it's a 2-hour doc or an hour and a half. It's not an episodic thing. It's 1 episode. and it's amazing. And it's fun
I'll check
and
it
it's
out.
creepy, and you kind of blame the women, and you're rooting for the women at the same time. You definitely blame this guy, but it's all kinds of stuff going on. It's called The Tinder Swindler.
Not the
I'm doing
Tinder
a
Swindler.
documentary
Not
called
the
The
Tinder.
Grinder Finder.
The
That's you should do that. Why don't you go undercover?
It's me trying to find people on Grinder.
That's it. Go undercover and do
I
that.
think you could make a Christian film about that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So, all right. So here we are. Sean brought the
Oh, wait,
movie to.
I
What?
want to talk about something.
I thought you
I
said you
watched
didn't,
something.
but go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just thought of it. I watched a very Uncle Al movie this week.
Okay.
It's called Benedetta. It's Paul Verhoeven's latest film
Oh,
from
you
2021.
saw that? You saw
I
that?
did. Yes,
The
I
lesbian
did.
nun
I rented it. I
movie?
paid $7 to watch that.
Oh,
It is a film about a 17th century convent and this girl who is touched by God, and she goes to the convent and starts living there, and she has visions and of Jesus who comes to her and wants to make her his bride, and she has a lesbianic affair with another girl who gets pulled into the convent, and she eventually becomes the mother superior, and there's a lot of politicking and some stake burning. It does have Charlotte Rampling in it, who is very
Oh.
good.
She used to
And
get
I-
naked all the time.
Yes, I highly recommend it. It kind of reminded me in some aspects of Ken Russell's The Devil. So if you like
and this
that
is Paul
film,
Verhoeven,
think
right?
it'll-
Paul Verhoeven. What's how you say his name? Verhoeven.
Verhoeven.
Paul Verhoeven.
It's been a long time since I've seen one of his films.
Yeah, this is like an indie film for him compared to all that stuff he was doing earlier.
But
But
you should have seen all the distributors and film funds that funded this thing.
oh, it's a lot, huh?
I took 300 of them.
But you recommend it. You like it.
Absolutely,
you would
two
like
thumbs up.
Yeah. Okay.
2 thumbs.
There you go.
The
Lesbian
most
nuns.
I pay for a movie is $3.99.
Really?
I'm supporting art, Sean.
I'm
Ghostbusters-
supported by going to the theater.
Ghostbusters Afterlife was $5.99. We paid $5.99 for that.
That's not bad. That's not a bad. I
No.
mean, that's
Like
yeah.
you did it for a podcast.
It wasn't worth it. Was it worth $5.99?
It was worth it for me. It might not have been. I would have seen that in the movie theater, so it was worth it.
Look
for
at
me.
look at our review on Cue It Up, and you can get all the.
Well,
all
I
the
think
info
because
on
your negativity just brought the whole thing down.
Definitely
I'm
was
not gonna
negative
lie.
about that film.
Yeah,
All
a
right,
lot of
let's get
comments
to
are
it.
saying
Thank
that.
you, Al. I'm sorry I skipped over you,
comments.
but I had the feeling you didn't want to talk about it, but that was a good one. So I appreciate that. I assume you watched the film that Sean brought.
Yeah.
Al?
I did.
Yes. I know
Yes, I
you
did.
did because you texted me while you were watching it. So that's how I knew.
Oh,
John, is
that
he-
meant he
Sean-
wasn't watching it on his phone.
No,
No.
I watched it on
No.
my 34-inch CRT TV.
CRT. I've seen that TV. It's huge and heavy. All right, Sean, what'd you bring to the table?
I brought the 1973 classic. Well, we'll decide if it's a classic, starring Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson, called Soylent Green. It's a dystopian science fiction film. It's the third of Charlton Heston's dystopian futuristic films, and it's set in the year 2022, where overpopulation and global warming has led to widespread overpopulation, a lack of food, and utter environmental collapse. And the world is, basically divided into like a very rich 1% and the 99% that is subsiding almost entirely on some artificial foodstuffs called Soylent. There's various kinds: Soylent Yellow, Soylent Red, and the new one that everyone loves, and if they can't get it, they riot, Soylent Green, where we get our title.
I just want to
And the
say,
film-
let me just jump in real quick. This show is sponsored by Soylent Green M&Ms. Just want to let you know that. It's only green M&Ms. They're not the ones made out of chocolate. Just want to give you that heads up. So go ahead, Sean.
Are
I'm
they
sorry.
at least sexy? Are they
They're
at
very
least
sexy. These are the sexy.
Yeah.
Actually, they used to be sexier because they. Go ahead.
So
I'm
the
sorry.
film is basically, once you get past the opening setup, it's sort of a police thriller. Charlton Heston plays a an honest but corrupt cop.
Yeah.
By honest but corrupt, it means he certainly steals and takes advantage of every
Everything.
opportunity.
Yeah.
But he also is committed to his job, doing
Yeah.
the right thing. When he's not stealing and kind of forcing women to have sex with him, you know, he is trying to do his job. And
Well, he's just
And
playing
when
with the
an
furniture.
yeah, when the executive at the Soylent Corporation is murdered, he begins to investigate the crime and discovers a dark secret. Is it safe for us to say what the secret is?
I think. Wait.
I
Let's
think
see.
it's probably out there.
You think? Wait.
Soylent Green is made out of people!
So yes,
I
it's
think
discovered
you're
the
okay.
horrifying secret that it's made out of people.
Yeah.
And I don't believe we're going to be showing the trailer, but I want to say, give you why I brought the film.
Yeah.
I saw this film when it first came out. I believe I also read the novel as well, because my father and mother both read a lot of novels and science fiction books, and I just read them. It was probably not something I should read. I can't remember whether there was more sex in the book than the thing. But I remember finding it very thrilling kind of a movie back in the day. I mean, I really loved the sci-fi aspect, the dystopian aspect. And this is sort of like prime Charlton Heston, where he started to get big. You know what I mean? He's like, you know, he starts to do what Al Pacino does now. You know, he kind of gets loud and boisterous. And
Oh, yeah. Okay. You mean performance-wise?
performance-wise,
Yeah.
which I love. I love
Yeah.
this film. And I love the films that came out at the same time, which I also saw. You know, well, they came out earlier. Planet of the Apes was
You know, an Omega Man.
and Omega Man, which
Yeah.
I saw at the theaters many times as well. So I probably saw this when I was 13 years old, maybe 14, because our local theater was a B theater. So A films will take like about a year to get to those. So I saw it in the theater. So any film I saw in the theaters in the 70s is a sentimental favorite. But I really like Charlton Heston's performance in this. And what is really poignant to me is Edward G. Robinson's performance. Edward G. Robinson is his quote unquote book, which in his future world, it's interesting. It projects a future where there's really like no computers, and books, because there are so few trees, are very rare. So they're like gold. And when you have an investigator, you have a guy who's sort of like your researcher. And that's what Edward G. Robinson is. But they also,
Because they're illiterate. Most people are illiterate. So if they have
Yeah.
people who can read, it's a big deal.
that's
Yeah.
like his Charlton Heston's question to the bodyguard: can you read and write? He
Right.
says, Heston, write a statement. Well, I go in and
Chuck
loot the
Connors, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
you know, so to me, you know, it's a very poignant relationship, and the movie is much more poignant because it's Edward G. Robinson's final film. What a great actor he was.
Yeah.
And maybe the best scene in the film is when he dies. You know, that's absolutely beautiful.
When he's
touching
euthanized. He's euthanized.
Yes.
Yeah, he's youth.
Yeah.
He, because of, for two reasons, he feels he can no longer live in this world. And he has discovered the secret that Soylent Green is made of people. And he's hoping that if Charlton Heston follows him and tries to stop him and sees what happens, he'll discover he'll get enough.
I was going to ask you that, Sean,
Yeah.
because when I was watching it, I was like, is the reason why he did this because he knew Heston would be there and would follow up on what happened to expose the whole thing?
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. And I'm going, it seemed to me that's why he did it. In addition to, he just wanted out, right?
Yeah, he wanted out.
Yeah.
He was burnt out. And I think the knowledge that the world is now unwittingly cannibalistic was like the final straw for him.
Yeah.
Well,
You
he
know, that
talked to the
everyone-
whole start of the film about all the food he used to eat, and that devastating scene where they have that tiny little meal of the lettuce and the beans or whatever, and it was like a
The
feast
beef,
for those
beef
two.
stew.
The
Yeah,
beef
beef
stew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
there was
like
something
that,
else about. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I like that Heston's opinion of the lettuce. He just didn't seem to find the joy of the lettuce.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Right.
Like-
You're right. And also that was
I read
Edward
that
G.
that scene was added. That scene wasn't in the script. It was added by Richard Fleischer, the director. And he told Robinson and Heston to kind of wing it. So that scene was not in the original script. They filmed it, and it was a It was a beautiful scene. The
That was
whole
one
with,
of the best scenes in the movie.
with the silverware when he brought it out in the case. I mean, it was great.
So to me, you know, particularly watching it the second time, it doesn't work as an action movie. It's pretty easy to figure out what happened. To me, a lot of what is great about the film is the interplay between Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson, and even I forgot the actress's name. You know, even though she is, you know, Heston.
Leigh Taylor Young, isn't that her name? Leigh Taylor Young, is that her name?
Yeah, and there's actually some, and you know, they're both people who know what the score is. You know, and essentially they call her furniture, girls who come with an apartment, and they essentially become sex slaves for men who will provide for them. You know, and talk about equipment porn. The first video game was in the film too. So
Yeah.
I was shocked when I looked at it now. I'm like, oh my God, before Pong. But the guy who did that was one of the designers of Pong. You know, so it looked like
Asteroids.
Galaxian.
Asteroids too.
Yeah.
Yeah, an asteroids feel. Yeah. You
So,
also
That's what I love about it. Wait a minute, I keep forgetting to say to one point. What makes it even more poignant is the last scene Edward G. Robinson filmed was his death scene.
right.
And he died 4 years later. So it's sort of like, it's a beautiful send off.
Well, he knew the whole time he had
No,
cancer.
he died. He didn't die 4 years later.
No,
He died.
4 weeks.
Yeah,
I just
4
saw.
weeks.
I just saw an interview where he died during the filming of it because Charlton Heston came out to the whole cast and said Edward G. Robinson died, and it was soon after he shot that scene.
Yeah, it was because, but they shot all the Edward G. Robinson stuff first. They were still filming when Edward G. Robinson.
Well, I
died.
read too that you can see Charlton Heston crying a little bit in that scene, and it has everything to do with
Yeah.
him knowing that may be Edward G. his last scene.
Well, no one in the
Ever.
cast knew how he had cancer. I mean, nobody
Yeah,
knew.
he couldn't
other than
hear.
Heston
He was
and the
deaf.
director.
He was
Right.
deaf too. I don't know how he did all that. He was deaf, and someone had to get directly in his ear and shout what was going on.
And
So it's a
he
pretty.
said Rico can't die. Oh, that's Little Caesar. Sorry.
Oh,
And I do want to point out one little thing. You guys still have the bell?
yes.
Dick Van Patten was in one of my movies.
Oh wow!
What?
I would have gotten him for the podcast, but unfortunately, he
Yeah,
died
he was the
too.
euthanizer in this one.
He
Yeah.
was. I saw an interview with him, and he kept. They did the take 4 times because he kept saying instead of the character's name, he kept saying Mr. Robinson because he was such in awe of Edward G. Robinson. He just couldn't get the right line out. He finally got it right at the last one. So
Yeah.
And by the way, Joseph Cotton played the
Oh,
guy
he
who
was
gets
great,
killed
too.
in the beginning
Right.
from
Right.
Citizen Kane. So
All right, let's
you know,
let Al jump in. John and I can talk about this probably a lot. What was your thought of the film?
You know, I knew Soylent Green was people. It was always a meme to me. You know, that end scene where he's shouting. So like, I assumed that I knew what the movie was, you know, my assumption was it wasn't a very good sci-fi film. But when I actually sat down and watched it, I enjoyed it a lot. And
You had never seen it, Al?
No, I had not. This is the first time. So I had no preconceived notions. Like my notion was like, it's probably a cheesy sci-fi film, but like it definitely has depth to it that I didn't expect. Like I definitely enjoyed seeing, I like the little touches. So like, you know, all those people that were living on his stairwell that he would have to climb over all the time because there's 40 million people in Manhattan and they have nowhere to put them other than euthanize them and stick them into food, I guess. But
the big.
I liked Heston.
buckets.
I liked their relation, you know, Saul's relationship to him, and I thought it was a solid movie. I thought it was a solid sci-fi. And the one thing I really liked, which you don't really see in films, is, you know, towards the end when they're having the shootout, like Heston actually has to reload his gun because he does 6 shots.
Yeah.
And that just does not, you know, if you're the hero of the film, that does not happen very often where you have to stand and reload. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix of cheese, science, environmental issues. I mean, this is what, made in 1972.
Yeah.
And Heston had this run, as Chris Coker mentioned last week, Heston had this run between Planet of the Apes, Omega Man, and like this one, where he was really on his films. I don't know what his participation in this stuff was like on the forefront of environmental issues, right? Or like nuclear war is the Planet of the Apes. What do you say? No what?
Okay, so this movie got made because Charlton Heston read the book on a flight,
Right.
and he got with a producer and got MGM to make it. To him, it was not about the environment; it was about overpopulation. That's different than the environment, Ralph. You can't say it's the environment.
Well,
but
the
for him,
population
that
takes
was
away
his-
all the environment. I think. I mean,
that was his big thing, was the overpopulation. But
Okay.
even in the interview, he said that, and this kind of aligns with what you're saying. People did not, because people knew his politics. They wouldn't have expected him to make movies like this. But this was a detective movie. This is what it was through the lens of science fiction. But anyway, so this movie wouldn't have been made without Charlton Heston reading the book and getting MGM to make it. So,
well, but you're
But he was
still.
still a giant star.
What's that, Sean?
He was a giant star. He could.
Well,
walk
okay,
into
but
a
you're
studio.
still a big time actor, putting yourself out there
Yeah.
in a film that, okay, whether
absolutely.
it's overpopulation or environmentalism, or like in Planet of the Apes, it's nuclear war. Omega Man, I think, was
Right.
disease, right? So,
Right.
you're this guy that's doing that. And yeah, is that opposite of, like John Wayne was doing what the Vietnam films because he was trying to show everybody what his politics were. I'm not sure Heston.
Greenberg.
Yeah, Heston probably looked at good product and said to make a good movie, but it's sort of a strange knowing that he was the guy with the take the gun out of my hand thing towards the end. And I just find it fascinating. It's like I was saying, it's a weird mix of cheese and subtlety. That's amazing. That scene he does with the furniture, the woman that he ends up having a little relationship with, where he has a choice to keep going to work or get in a hot shower.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're watching this film and the whole time they're all wearing their things and sweating, and you can really
Right.
feel the. I mean, I felt like you could really feel the heat, and the fact that they weren't eating, the little bit that they had to eat. Those scenes in that apartment that they're in, where he's, like where he finds a soap and that becomes a big deal. Yes, everywhere he goes, he's stealing from all these people he's busting, which I guess you had to survive, right? He's just trying to survive, and you just really felt all that stuff in the film, and it made that scene where they're taking the shower amazing, because it he had a choice, and he wanted a hot shower for the first time in however long it was.
It's funny because she wanted him to stay, and she's like offering him sex, and he's like, "No, I don't have time. I'm working a case." It's like, I can give you a shower.
Right.
We
Now
got
I'll take a hot shower.
How much hot
Yeah.
water?
because that's
As
that's
much
what we
as
haven't
you
talked
want.
about. But the
Yeah.
discrepancy between the people who had the money and the people who don't. And that's what I mean. It's sort of that whole thing where all the rich people had food in the refrigerator and they were able to get all the things.
And
they
air
needed.
conditioning.
Air conditioning, and here's a cop. He's a cop, a blue collar guy, I guess, and he's got nothing. And I just found it
He
fascinating.
doesn't have to. He has to ride an exercise bike to generate sawdust to generate electricity in the apartment.
Yeah. So I felt like all those atmospheric things really made it a much more powerful film than I remember. Because when you look at the execution of it, all those scenes they shot in that weird green, the dystopian green stuff, and even like you're saying, jumping over the people, it was getting a little bit cheesy. But I just think they did a good job of just showing the environment and how horrible it was to live in that environment, and how his breakdown at the end is just so. It becomes powerful because of his relationship with Saul and just what he saw. So anyway, John, what do you think?
I liked it. I mean, I liked it. I haven't seen it in a long time. The one scene that really stuck out in my head from memory was when the trucks come in and scoop all the people up.
Yeah,
that scene was like, look at that population control, right? I thought I really enjoyed it. It's prescient, as you always like to say, as we're in 2022 now. You would think, you would think in 2022 that they wouldn't be using these same guns that they used in the 1950s, but that's a nitpicky thing. One of the things that I found kind of sad about it was this was really the last big film made at MGM Studios before the studio was so dilapidated that they couldn't use it anymore. And they used that in the effect. I mean, when you saw those facades, those buildings were facades, and they kept the facades to show that, it was deteriorating. So that was kind of sad to see that from the big studio days. But Edward G. Robinson, knowing that this was his last film, knowing he died soon after it, was, it's kind of bittersweet to watch it. And he was very good in it too. And their father and son relationship was very believable. And that euthanasia scene, both of them, Edward G. Robinson's reaction to what he's seeing on the screen, then Charlton Heston looking at him, and then the screen, because this is stuff he's never seen.
Yeah.
And his reaction to that was like, I can't believe that that's real. I mean, that's what it was like out there. So it tells you why every time he would, like when he was in the apartment and he goes to the sink, he made a big deal out of it because, he's got that cooler in his house with water as opposed to running water or the food, it was just really well done. I got to be honest, I didn't find it cheesy. I mean, you're talking about a film made in 1972 showing the future. That's hit or miss because it's 1972's view of the future. But it's a detective story. And I thought the choice that was made at the end from Fleischer, that whole chase scene at the end, very little dialogue for the last 20 minutes of the film. I mean, very little. And he did that purposely. I like that. And I love the ending too, because I want to ask you, Sean, because I haven't read the book. Is that how the book ended? Did it just end with him saying Soylent Green?
It's been so long since I read it.
I'm curious to know, was he in the pocket of Soylent so he didn't do anything about it that he told?
I think it probably ended like it ended here. And you're hoping that they will.
Yeah, you hope that it got out there. But that I found that an interesting choice too.
Yeah.
I liked it. I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time.
When I say cheesy, it's like
one thing in defense of it.
What was that?
I want to say one thing about it's interesting that there's like no computers or things like that. But to me, that really works in this movie because this is a society that's no longer advancing.
Right.
It's in a society that's not technologically pulling forward. It's a society that's holding on by its fingernails, so it's not advancing. So it's living in the ruins of a civilization. It could never, it could never hope to recoup what it had, 40 years ago. It can't even feed the people. But so to me, the fact that, because even if you look at the rich people's place, it isn't like it, it's obviously much better than everyone else's, but it's not like it's
super luxurious.
Yeah, super.
Yeah.
Sean, I got a question. I got a question for Sean. So in the movie, it said there was 40 million people
in New York.
New York. How many people are in New York as of today?
8 million.
Like 8 million.
Yeah.
So I love this film because I saw it in 1972
in the theater.
in the theater, and I'm just a 20, and I don't even think I would. I think I wasn't even 20. But I'm watching this film and it's like, oh, it's happening in the future, way in the future. Not realizing I'm doing like a time warp. And as I'm watching it now, we just watched it last week. And then to see remembering how I viewed it in the future. And it was like, wow, they're really off by so much.
Oh,
I don't know. They were all wearing masks.
They were,
no kidding.
No, their worries about overpopulation. The thing of the day, the worry of that time, I remember in high school, everybody was like, oh, we got to do something about overpopulation. Well, now it turns out we have to worry about underpopulation.
Yeah.
The reverse is true.
Yep.
And don't worry about like stuff that might not in 50 years from now is not going to even matter. Like that whole worrisome thing. I remember there'd be like symposiums or talks and groups saying don't have, just have one kid, or and Chinese households, they're only allowed to have one child and better be a boy.
That's unfortunately that's because people can't afford to have kids anymore, or houses, or anything. So I mean, there's a reason. There's many reasons. I know culturally, there's many reasons. But, it's funny to see a film 2022 that's so off, right? This is like, wow, how can that, but then we've seen other films, Back to the Future, I think. I don't know how far they went ahead in that one for all that stuff with the shark coming off the movie theater. But yeah, it's fun to watch films that try to predict what's going to happen in the future, and it's funny to look back and go, yeah, their guns are from 1950, but if all technology is failing, although they had the technology to turn people into little green squares, so there's some
There
kind
you
of
go.
technology there. It's
That's
just fascinating
delicious.
to watch this. What's that?
It's delicious technology.
I guess they didn't. Now it's funny you talk about that euthanasia scene. The next shot is his body sliding out right into the truck to head over to the
Yeah.
to the Soylent Green factory.
Get them while they're warm.
I think they got to the conclusion pretty quick too. And when I say cheesy, it's like the scenes with the priest, that priest that they had in there, and Brock Peters as his, his, I don't know if it's his boss or whatever. A
His
little bit,
lieutenant.
you know me with the overacting or underacting. I thought Heston is great. He always, there's something about him. He's powerful, and he's fun to watch.
He's got a very commanding presence. He just
Yeah.
does.
yeah.
He can get
And
away
everything he
with
does.
what he's doing. He's always able to, like, get your hands off me, you damn dirty apes.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all that sort of
He
stuff.
has been her.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and it's fun to see this compared to his Planet of the Apes, where he's doing that whole thing 3,000 years ago, and you don't know anybody or something. He says something about it's 3,000 years later, and everybody you knew is gone. And this one had a couple
Did
of
you
those,
see
and
Omega
that's no, that's from I think that's from Planet of the Apes when they land and he's sitting there with his two buddies that survived. He goes, "Well, we're 3,000 years in the future. You can say goodbye to everybody you knew. They're gone." Very matter of fact, right? I think he was even smoking a cigar or something, which I don't know how he had that in the spaceship, but whatever. And I love the scene where he and the furniture lady have that little scene where they're taking their clothes off and just, she's laying in bed, he's laying in bed.
Very
It was,
nonchalant.
Very nonchalant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Bad.
it was fun. I mean, it was fun.
Well, I think
But,
that was her first movie, wasn't it? Was that her first movie?
I don't know. She was very good, I thought.
He was very
What-
good, and it's how can I describe it? It's she's making a choice. She wants to be there, but in the end, she's like, and Heston's realistic enough to know that's the best place for her.
Right.
Well, he knows he's
Well, I get the
you know.
feeling that those women were groomed. Those women were groomed for those positions.
yeah.
But she wanted to be
it's
with
not-
Heston at the end, and he
Right.
knew the only way to keep her safe was to stay away from him.
He's like,
But
look at where I live.
you a question. Debbie, was Charlton Heston sexy in this movie?
Still, yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
You
How old
need
was
to
he?
get your wife's opinion on that. You can't answer that yourself.
Well, I'd like a female perspective.
How old was
Okay.
he in that film?
Oh, he
Al?
was probably only in the 30s.
Did we ask Al a
Was
female
Charlton
perspective?
sexy?
Al, do you think
And-
Charlton Heston was sexy?
In that movie?
Yeah.
I guess for an older guy.
Oh, look at you. He was sweating a lot, though. That's for sure. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they have no air.
He was.
They
Al,
were-
does this fit your dystopian likings? Was it-
It yeah, I think so.
On the dystopian
I mean,
scale?
of course, I always wanted. I was on a scale of Al's dystopian.
Yeah, let's say
horribleness,
Al, 1 to 10 dystopia scale.
I'm go 7.
Okay. Cannibalism's pretty high up in that. I think that would raise it up a little bit, right?
Heston was
Yeah, I mean,
49
it would
years
get-
old when he made this movie.
Are you
Wow.
kidding me?
He's older than I thought.
God, he's so old back in those days.
Well, think of all the movies he made in the 50s. I mean,
Yeah.
20
There's
years
Brock
later, right?
Peters.
So, yep.
So
And
Yeah.
he was corrupt too. I like that everybody, it's like here he's giving him,
Yeah.
I don't know what that thing is he handed him, but it was something he took from the apartment.
Yeah, some kind of chit or something for his cut.
Yeah, and he's supposed to give money to that other cop who took the body.
Yeah.
away. So it's like the entire police department is corrupt. But Brock Peters is more corrupt because somebody called him and said, send the, stop the case, close the case.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he did. I also like the scene with the last tree. It's in Gramercy Park. It's in a tent. It's the last tree. In
Oh, yeah. The scene with the governor,
with the governor.
played by Whit Bissell, 50s
Okay.
science fiction guy, and the Undertaker in Magnificent Seven.
Oh, he was the other.
I've seen him in
That's a
other
little
stuff too.
tidbit.
That guy's been in other
Yeah,
stuff.
he's done
as
a
well.
ton of sci-fi stuff.
That's
Yeah.
some pretty obscure
Yeah, he was
stuff
in,
there, Sean.
He was the Mad Doctor, and I was the teenage werewolf.
Yes, that's
And
right. Michael
I was
Landon.
Frankenstein.
Sean,
Yep.
you don't get that everywhere on every.
You don't. That's why, Deb, I always say you got to subscribe to this channel. You got to share it. You got to freaking just smash the crap out of that like button too, because I'm telling you, it makes a big difference out there.
Al, are you subscribed to our show?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I don't believe you,
No.
Al.
For a second,
You got
for
your
a
I
face
am.
covered. You got your eyes
For
covered.
a second,
do not
I didn't
believe
think he
you.
was.
I am subscribed. I just don't. I didn't click the notification bell, but I am.
Oh, okay.
Now-
Well, thank you.
Now,
Thank you for
the
being.
scene right behind. Sorry, the scene behind you, Ralph, with the crowd scene where
Yeah.
the trucks in. It just looks like they just threw a filter over the lens.
Well, that's what I
No,
mean. I
that's-
mean, it's they
Oh,
every
Yeah.
time they cut outside, it had that brown greenish.
I
You
like
kind
that
of
green
feel-
mist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
it
know.
worked. I thought, what a great cheap solution.
Did you guys do any YouTube diving on this movie? There's a 30-minute documentary made at the time of the movie that's really interesting, and they spend a lot of time on that scene, and they show Fleischer with all the cameras talking to all the extras and stuff. It's really interesting the way that they did that. By the way, Richard Fleischer is of the famous Fleischer family, the animators who did one of the best superhero cartoons, the Fleischer Superman cartoons. That was his kid.
Max
Good-
Fleischer.
Max Fleischer, thank you. So just a little something about Richard Fleischer, who's a good director.
He's a good director, but he kind of reminds me of, for his time, of like, what's the guy who directed Cool Runnings, Turtle Bomb, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
You mean no distinction, you mean?
I mean, he just fit in. He was like a skilled professional, but without any particular style.
Did he do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Yes.
Or he did. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And also, what was the one I liked that really?
Hey, it was in focus.
Boston Strangler. I mean, that's like,
Tony Curtis. He
so-
directed that?
Yeah, he directed that as well. So he's did a lot of different kinds. He did Dr. Dolittle, which is a monster hit. So he
It
was
was
one of these guys the studios could trust with a big budget and all. And I mean, I really like his work. He works steadily for decades.
Now that's interesting. Those 4 films you mentioned,
Yeah.
it's like there's no common thread to them. You wouldn't say, "Oh, this is a Fleischer film." That's a good point because they're so different. Those 4 movies are so different.
Torah, too.
What was that?
Torah. The Pearl
Right,
Harbor.
so he's
Yeah.
he's done a lot then. I mean, that's a lot of films.
Yeah.
I remember Boston
And
Strangler
Dr.
as a
Doolittle
kid.
was a bomb. Dr. Doolittle was a bomb.
It was?
Just
Yeah.
so you know.
Even
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the first
And
one or the
it was.
second one?
It killed the studio. The first
Boston
one, Rex
Strangler was a
Harrison.
TV film, wasn't it, or was that a
No.
theatrical?
Nope. Theatrical.
It was, huh?
And the
I didn't know
writer
that.
is very interesting. The writer was not really distinguished either. Not the novelist, the screenwriter. I shouldn't be putting him down, but he's mainly a TV writer. He did very few. I think this might have been like one of only 2 or 3 theatrical features. He wrote a lot of TV shows and a lot of TV movies.
This definitely had a TV show vibe to it, like a Twilight Zone.
Bigger budget and better. kit.
Yeah. I could see that, but I think it worked. I mean, it still worked.
Do you think it worked? Let me ask you this. Do you think it worked because the ending became such a meme? The Soylent
No,
Green is people.
I
That-
think if the
that-
buildup wasn't there, no, because there's so many good scenes in the movie that lead up to that it's not just the ending. It's like Planet of the Apes. What does everyone remember about Planet of the Apes? The Statue of Liberty. But it doesn't diminish the rest of the movie. That ending of its people is very iconic, but to get there was a lot of great scenes in that movie. I mean, there just was. And his performance, I mean, he's in it the whole time, for crying out loud. He
Yeah.
carries that film. I mean,
Yeah.
so no, I don't think it's just the ending. That's the most iconic thing in the movie because you got the memes out there. Saturday Night Live, that sketch was hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's like 4 different versions of Soylent, whatever it is. It's paper.
I couldn't find any of that. I couldn't find
Well,
it.
it's not on you. You can't find it other than that one clip that you had.
the one. No, there's 2.
It's
The
not
second one
there.
I didn't show is this one, which is the one I
Yeah,
think you
it's
said.
still made out of
Soylent
food.
Green is still made out of people. They didn't change the recipe like they said they were going to. It's still people.
Rest in peace, Phil Hartman. What a waste
I mean,
of
yeah,
talent that was,
but he
that
also
poor guy.
nailed Heston. I mean, that's so
Yeah.
good. But that's the only reason. Yeah, to me, that's Soylent Green as People is what I just remember about the film.
Ralph, when did you see this film the first time?
I can't remember. I think this is one that I probably saw as a kid on TV. I know I didn't go to. I was 10 or 11 because this came out in 72, so I would have been 11.
Yeah, I was 8, so I did.
So
not
I
see
would have
this in
seen
the
this
movie
on
theater.
TV, and I think watching it this time, I have the Blu-ray. Watching it this time was the first time I've watched it all the way through. Now I remember the euthanasia scene. There's certain scenes that popped through as a kid. I didn't remember anything about the furniture, the women who were furniture. No clue till I saw it this time. Go ahead, Debbie. What?
You know, when I first heard of euthanasia, I thought that was young people going to a foreign land. I really did.
We're doing youth in Asia.
Really, not just.
Oh, you mean that? That's not. That was.
Oh, I was going to do a rim shot. I was
Ah,
going to
yeah,
do a
it's
rim
just-
shot. I
I
thought
don't
you were
think
setting us up there.
No, I really
Okay.
Bum.
euthanasia was like young people over.
Hey, take my wife, please.
No, I think.
From
So this
Ohio.
is 1972.
Yeah.
They're euthanizing him. And when was Logan's Run? What year did that come out? Same around the same
That was,
time.
I think, 74.
Okay.
74 or 5.
So
Yeah.
that one I remember going to the. Now I saw Logan's Run in a movie theater because I remember, wow, they're so young with the thing on their hand and they die at 30, and it was freaking me out. Plus Jenny Ottger was in there and she was cute back in those days. Still, I mean, you know, he was an
I'm
American
sure she's
Werewolf in London too. But so I don't remember seeing this one at a movie theater. So this was the first time I sat down and could really appreciate now, was that his father? Was Saul his dad?
No.
No,
Yeah.
just a
Oh,
friend.
okay. You're saying father-son relationship. Just the
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
that they
But
had.
that, I mean, they had a father-son relationship.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Called
But
him dad.
He was not his father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This scene behind me is when he takes the apple and all that's left is the seed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So those subtler scenes, like this with when they're having the dinner, the big feast, they had when he meets he has that relationship with the furniture. Now I don't know if he had a past relationship with her because he seemed very comfortable with her.
No, he met her the
that was-
first time
that
in
was
the
it.
apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that scene I thought was, well done and well acted. So I caught more scenes now this time. And of course I just felt like it was obvious. It's sitting right in front of our face the whole time, what's actually going on. But as a kid, I didn't catch that. And then it is iconic. The scene at the end is iconic and it's great when it happens. I mean, it's like the damn dirty apes, get your hands off me, that line and this one and this one. It's just really, I enjoyed watching again. And, 2022, that's interesting, right? It's like, it's sort of a nice way to watch it because you're watching it at, whatever, same year, but.
Well, that's
Definitely.
one of the main reasons. This is one of the films I would see we should have, in our original conception of the podcast with a lot of 70s films.
Yeah.
And, but the main reason I brought it was the 2022 connection.
Yeah.
But, one thing that really struck me that I missed as a kid, and I'm sure I saw it on TV as well, between the time I saw it at the movies and the time I watched it this time, is what a corrupt cop he is.
Yeah. He's
just
corrupt.
He's like stealing everything that's not laid down, even if it is. And he just like casually walks in and like says, okay, just get into bed, and they just like, they're going to have sex. It's like, and he like beats the one guy who beats the girl, the Gregory or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
Chuck
Charles.
Connors.
Yeah.
Oh.
The
doorman or
the
whatever
guy
he
who
was, the
runs
guy who ran
the
the
apartment
pimp.
complex.
He was the pimp,
Oh, right.
The pimp.
The father
Yeah.
from Willy Wonka.
the dandy boy with the cute hair.
He was
Yeah,
a car
right.
salesman.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, he
Yeah.
also stole a spoon out of that girl's.
Cop.
He took
With
the
the
spoon
strawberries
out of the
on it.
girl's jam.
Because it was evidence. He knew what it was.
I wonder how
She
long
was
he
trying
had
to
in his
hide it.
pocket before he gives it to Saul to eat.
I know.
Oh my
And I'm
god!
like, what if it was
Well, I went
poison?
on that.
What if it was poison? Hey, taste this.
I read a lot of reviews, and a lot of people single out how that Chuck Connors fight is really not very, convincing. But
the
to me,
karate. He's
that's
swinging the legs around.
Well, I mean, every fight scene, you could see it was a stunt guy for Heston. I mean, it was like completely different body type. But
Yeah.
I didn't care. You know what? I would ask, what do you think someone, because again, going back to your old podcast
It's
where you
getting hot
had
in here.
millennials who never watched the movies, What do you think a younger person watching this movie? What do you think they would just think this is stupid?
Yeah.
No.
100%.
No,
No, I don't
Al,
think
I don't
so.
even know how old are you, Al? I don't
think-
even know.
No, not. You don't mean young like him young.
I'm
He's not
an
young.
old millennial, John.
He's an old millennial.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
you
I don't
think
like.
a younger person would like this movie, Al?
Yeah, I do.
You
if
do?
people- if they liked movies, yes, I think they would
Okay.
like this movie.
Okay.
And I think they could identify with a lot of what's going on in this movie.
But a casual viewer,
Because-
someone who's not a movie nut, okay? You know, we ask this all the time, and you ask me this every time. Like my son, who's 24, 25, he's casual viewer. He's not deep dive into films. I think he would find this ridiculous and boring. They don't even like The Exorcist, right? Or Halloween.
But
Halloween,
this
they were like,
movie's only 90 minutes, though.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
this
not
is
the
like
length.
a TV
It's not
show.
the-
I mean,
yeah, but it's not the length. It's I don't know. I don't see the young kids. You know, I'd say maybe I'm just being ageist, but I just there's a lot of films I just don't.
It's a lot of the things that are popular now that are important issues like the environment,
right.
global warming,
Warming.
Me Tooism. You know, I mean, this is a big patriot.
Oh, they'd hate it because of that.
No, what I'm saying, it's a depiction of it.
Yeah.
that they can get behind about
Yeah.
how evil it is. You know, it's practically Handmaid's Tale. You know. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
I think people would find something to like about it, provided they
Well, there's a
Find the
lot to learn
performance.
from this film, really. You know, the takeaway for me, actually seeing it again the second time, 50 years later, is the fact that you think you know what's going on, but maybe you don't.
Well, I mean, come on. Is that a like the government? Like we know what's going on all the time? We don't know anything.
I mean, what you waste your time worrying about? What do you
The
wait?
government would never lie to you.
fortunately we have corporations that will be truthful to us.
What? I mean, what's the sense in
Exactly.
getting on a bandwagon or like worrying about something or getting, going down to protest or do anything? Because you don't really know what's going on. What's going on?
Yeah, but
You know,
again,
I mean, the
let's
one thing
ask-
that stood out for me was the corporations were running the government. The Soylent Corporation was running the government.
I think
Yeah.
that's pretty
So they
true.
were-
Actually, I think that pretty
Well,
much
that's what I
nailed
mean. I mean, that is
2022.
that is about as prescient as you can
Forget
get.
the environment. That's the
That's
real
who owns
story.
the
Yeah.
ownership.
So
It makes
Who's the
me think
good, like-
about Robert.
Who are the good guys in this film?
well, Heston's
there's
a good
only
guy
one.
because he didn't stop.
Ultimately, he's the good guy because he
Right.
shouts Soylent Green as people.
But you're talking about everyone being on the take. Everyone was on the take. They go into these rich places with the haves and the have-nots, and they look at it. Hey, they can afford all this stuff, so I'm taking. It's no big deal. I'm taking stuff. The thing about Heston was, he had a shot to get out of it, and do all right if he stopped investigating it, and he kept investigating. Especially when Saul said, you got to figure this out when he was
Yeah.
dying. You got to figure this out. So Heston's a good guy. I think the Leigh Young there, the furniture, I think she's a good person because she wanted out too. She wanted to be with Charlton Heston at the end of the movie. So, I mean, for that dystopian future, those are your good guys.
It was
you
just
know?
gross though when she was hitting on the old guy, Joseph Cotton, when she was playing the video game. I'll take care of you later.
Well, how about Mike Henry? Did you see Mike Henry from
Who's Mike Henry?
the football player? He was one of the cops. He also played Tarzan. You'd know him if you saw him. He was in Longest Yard, but they dubbed his voice because he's got a kind of a southern accent. So they dubbed his voice with some deep, thing. I was like, what? Who the hell's voice is
I don't know
that?
who that is.
He was only in a
Mike
couple
Henry.
of scenes. He was during the riot scene. He was the
Yeah.
cop in the riot scene with Heston.
I like
well-
how efficient those trucks would be.
What was that?
How efficient those trucks would
Oh,
be.
the scoopers?
Yeah,
No, they'd get
scoopers.
stuck on all the human remains would be jamming up the bucket thing.
Yeah,
You'd get all these.
like I said before, that's what stuck in my head, in my memory. It wasn't
well,
even
when you see the
last line,
poster,
because
the poster is
that thing where I just remember that scene. They're all wearing the helmets and then just start scooping everybody. up.
Well, isn't it? Here, let's take a look. Here's the
how
poster.
do you not run over a bunch of people?
Well, that's
They
what
can't
that's
show
what.
that in a 1972
That's
film.
true. Although they showed the one guy who got crushed, and all you see is the blood at the
Yeah.
bottom of it.
You know what I was really thinking was when Chuck Connors was bleeding, that looked like the same formula for blood that they used in those Hammer horror films. You know,
I was going to say the blood, even when Heston got shot, why does the blood look, it looks so bright red,
It's like ketchup.
like so fake.
It's
Yeah,
stage
it
blood,
looks
isn't
so
it?
fake.
you
what was
think
that?
they did that for
It's
the
stage
ratings?
blood.
Like you can't make it look. You have to make it look a little
Yeah,
fake.
yeah, definitely. Because that was probably a PG movie, I'm sure.
Oh, here
It-
comes
it
the
is
scene.
PG,
Here
yeah.
comes
Yeah,
where she
so
takes her clothes off.
They could only show so much.
I like when he gets in. He gets all naked and he gets in just to hide his junk. He turns around. It's pretty.
Well,
good.
she did the same thing. You only
he's
saw her
quite-
from
yeah.
the back.
Yeah, quite sexy. So, all
Now,
right, should we
I
rate
think I
this
went-
puppy? Anything else you want to say, Al? Anything you want to say?
Al, first, good to have you back, man.
Yeah,
nice,
Al,
Al.
great
Well,
to
thank
see you.
Thank
You know, I mean, even with the virtual mask and
Would
sunglasses.
you like,
it's
Al?
good
Would you like to
see
promote anything?
Would I like to promote anything? I would like to promote Benedetta again.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
That sounds
There
like
you
a
go.
movie
Go out there and
strange
watch
movie.
All right,
not a
Al. Let's
YKY
we'll
movie.
start with you, Al. You could rate first. Yippee ki yay or yippee ki nay?
I'm gonna say Yippee Ki Yay. I think it's worth a watch. I mean, maybe it's not my first choice for like dystopian sci-fi, but
I don't think it
it's
would
worth
be.
a watch.
What is
And
your
it's
first
interesting.
choice? What's your first choice for dystopian?
Damnation Alley.
I haven't seen that one actually, but I will go see that now.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
gonna say Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Oh, yeah.
Al.
Hell
Comes
comes
to
to Frogtown. Isn't that with
Okay.
Roddy Piper?
It is.
Okay. There you go. That's
does
a
have right.
recommendation.
He's
Thank you,
very
Al.
virile in that movie.
Damnation Alley, George Peppard and Jan Michael Vincent.
Ugh,
Oh,
nice.
God.
Check it out. I think it was
All
about
right.
$100 budget, but
John, what's your rating?
yippee ki yippee ki
Oh, I get it.
I was doing the freeze frame.
Freeze frame. Got it. We got it. Yeah, here.
Come on.
Wait. Oh, okay. I say, I'm method. I'm the one. So hot. I got to go take a hot shower. Yippee ki obviously. I liked it. I did like it. Like I said, it felt a little, you know, me with the overacting and like that
Yes.
priest was just terrible. Guy walking around acting tired.
I mean, the priest was in it for like 20 seconds.
That's what I meant. He was horrible. Okay?
And the second scene, he gets shot in the head. I mean,
horrible. I'm just
that was
saying.
overacting.
He overacted.
Wow.
Sean and Debbie, obviously,
Oh, my-
Sean's going to be a thumbs up. Debbie, where are you?
Yippee ki yay!
Yippee ki yay! All right.
Now, tell
good
the
one.
truth, Debbie. The first time you saw the movie, you were with a boy and you really didn't watch the movie.
Oh my
I
God.
can't remember. I really can't remember who I was with.
Well, you were saying you weren't really watching the movie. You were more interested in the boy.
I don't know, Sean, where you get these ideas.
I don't know where he
she
gets
is
this
not
stuff
furniture. Okay, that woman is not furniture.
either.
I am not.
She is a person.
Al, have you seen Nothing's Changed with Sean? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing has changed. That's
Nothing.
all
The
right.
other thing, I just want to say one more thing. I think that certain age groups look at Charlton Heston as and Charlton Heston was a movie star. Do you know what I mean? There's actors and then there's movie stars. Charlton Heston was a movie star. He had, think of the iconic roles that guy's had in his career, not to mention, you mentioned that scene at the end is so iconic, right? Well, that's two movies where the end is super, super iconic, and he's a part of both of them. And that's not even talking about the 10 Commandments, a touch
he's
of evil,
Moses.
Ben
Yeah,
Hur.
yeah.
I mean, he great. Yeah. I mean, just a great actor that now people mock him because of his politics in his later life. But I think it completely undermines his career. That was, I mean, you look at, he had a rebirth in the late 60s, early 70s with the roles that he did mainstream. You know what I mean? And this was a hit. This movie was a big hit. Planet of the Apes was a big hit. I don't know about Omega Man. But, and that one scene in Wayne's World, the second Wayne's World,
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
where they do a scene and they go, that's it? I mean, that's the best you can do? Wait, let's get someone else. He comes in. He's a gas station attendant.
Gordon Street. Oh, yes. Gordon Street. I once knew a girl who lived on Gordon Street a long time ago, when I was a young man. Not a day passes I don't think of her. And promise I made, which I will always keep. That one perfect day on Gordon Street. That's 5 blocks up, 2 over.
and it's Charlton Heston. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So anyway, I just want to call that out because I think there's a lot of people of a certain age who don't appreciate the stuff that he's done. And I think he's underappreciated and shouldn't
And I
be.
think people are giving him the wrong thing on necessarily the politics. I mean, he was one of the first Hollywood actors to stand for civil rights. He paid for the setup of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech in Washington. He went south. I mean, he had a complicated political output. I mean, he obviously followed what he believed. He was not like, everything on this side of the menu. He was,
Right.
picking and choosing.
No, he had a little
what
trouble towards the end. Michael Moore, the Columbine movie, I think he tried to do an interview
Yeah.
with him. As,
Yeah.
and I
'cause the
get it.
NRA,
Listen.
his relationship with the
You know
NRA,
what?
but
Michael
civil
Moore-
rights wise, he was.
Yeah, no,
He was
on,
not.
on target. And that's what I mean. These
Yeah.
films, whether you like it or not, are kind of lefty environmental films.
Well,
that
yeah,
he
he
helped.
even said that. He goes, people don't expect me to do a movie like this.
Yeah, he helmed them.
And I
so
did it.
I got to give him
Yeah.
credit for
So,
that. So I've always had positive thoughts of him, except the NRA stuff kind of, you just go, okay, whatever. It still doesn't make me not want
Right.
to watch a Charlton Heston film.
Yeah.
He's not like Kevin Spacey.
No,
You know what I mean?
that's what I mean. There's not
Right.
a Woody Allen or anybody like that where
Right.
you can't watch him anymore. No, Charlton Heston is
Right.
great. Always was great.
Yeah.
My first memory of him
Good.
is as Moses, parting the
Yeah.
Red Sea and the chariot
Was
race
that
Every-
Edward G.
from Ben
Robinson?
Hur.
Yeah, they
You
were-
watch it. Yeah. Moses, we're going to go to the river. See? Yeah.
Oh, that's
We're
right.
gonna free
Edward G.
the slaves, see?
Robinson.
Yeah.
He's in that one too, right? So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Nice job, Sean. All right. Well, we got a special show coming up. It's Valentine's Day, and we are going to attempt Ladies' Choice 2. Now, we all know what happened to
Good
me
luck with
after
that.
Ladies' Choice 1. I quit the
Yes.
podcast for a while. Okay.
Ralph,
For like 8 months.
They're still talking about it,
What,
Ralph.
Debbie?
just explain to the people that just tuned in what happened the last time we did.
We had a little Ladies' Choice 1. I don't know. This must have been 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember. 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 4 years ago.
And there was some dirty laundry aired at that table that
I think it was your dirty laundry, wasn't it? I don't think it was. You're making that like a general statement. I think it was your dirty laundry.
My
that was
favorite
aired.
line the
It
whole
was-
day with everything going on. Sean, there was some statements being made, and Sean says, "I thought those were metaphors, but no, those are real things that happen." Oh my God! And Al was at
Well,
this
why don't you
one.
explain what's going to
Sean.
happen? I mean, what are we doing?
What we're doing is we're bringing our significant others to the table, and we're allowing the ladies to have their choice of the film they want to bring. So we'll have 4 couples, and each of the women from this, or whatever the significant other is, will bring to the table the film they want to talk about. And we'll see how it
and
goes.
they have to tell us why they picked it, and then
yeah,
we comment on it also.
same. It's kind of the
Okay.
Ron Robin
All right.
thing, but with
Okay.
our ladies. Now, Al is right. After the last one, I quit for 8 months. I couldn't even think about editing that one.
But I don't
It took
think
me-
that's happened this time.
I think we're going to be
Well,
okay.
I think the danger
But
was open mic and open bar.
Yeah,
well,
this one's going to be open bar.
because we're shooting that on a Friday night, right?
Yeah, this is going to be open bar, but I think we're going to be okay. My instinct tells me we're going to be okay.
Well, I think
Yeah.
your friendship ring will ensure that everything goes well.
That one? Oh,
Yeah.
the one next to that one.
That was interesting.
The one,
Can you
the
edit
one
that
next
out?
to that one.
Can you
Yeah.
edit that out? Huh?
No, that's
Can you-
staying in. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We're recording it Friday night, and maybe it'll be 8 months from now that we actually air it, but we'll see. I hope it goes
I'm
well.
curious, Ralph, with your new backgrounds, what background will be using for this?
I'm not. I'll be at
Something-
Maria's
something
house.
romantic,
No.
something-
I'll be at Maria's house. I'm going to set up the house, turn the fireplace on.
You're
I'm
not
gonna-
bringing her to the studio?
No. I wouldn't let her in here. This is my hole.
Oh wow!
This
Well,
is
I'm
my
gonna have
home.
to have some fun with that.
No, I got furniture here. Al knows about my white porn couch I have. That's what I
A
meant by
lovely
furniture. Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, she's not. No, I'm going
All
to her
right.
house. We're going to set the fireplace up. I'm going to sprinkle some lights around there, put some candles out. It's going to be nice. So Debbie's
Are
smiling.
you sure we should be filming that night?
I will be no shirt off. I might have my shirt off. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep this scarf on with no shirt. because it's
You
going to
know,
get
at the
warm.
end when ET was dying by the river,
That's
he was all white and everything. That's what Ralph looks like without a
All
shirt.
right, so that's what we're doing. So Friday night we're doing that. We'll put it out.
Ouch.
We'll put that out for Valentine's.
Why is your face getting all red? Your face is all red, Ralph.
Because you're angering me. You're angering me.
Mr. Furious.
That's
angry,
anger.
Getting very
I'm
angry.
expressing my anger through my face. So just
Hey,
know
Ralph,
that.
are your favorite scenes behind you right now in the movie?
That's the priest.
The
I
priest.
know. Ugh,
Well,
so
he's
bad.
look at him. He's so overacting. That
I'm
priest.
exhausted. I'm exhausted. I can't speak to you. I'm exhausted. Anyway. All right. So I'll see you guys Friday night. Not you, Al. Sorry.
All right.
Um,
Thanks
Al,
for the invite.
thanks for coming
Yeah,
back.
Al. Good to see you again,
Yeah,
man.
nice to have you
welcome.
back, Al. Should we review your Nun film, maybe?
You should. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that sounds like a good one. I
Yeah,
want to see.
we should save that for Movie Strange when it comes back.
Oh yeah, Movie Strange. We'll get that back. All right, and then
Okay.
after this one, we'll do the round robin that we talked about, World War II.
And
Okay.
Hassan will be joining us.
No, I
No,
think
okay.
I think Sean and Debbie's son-in-law.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Oh, the
will
World
be-
War II stuff.
Yeah, for a World War II
Good.
film. He's bringing Fury. He's
All
already
right.
told us Fury. So
Yep.
okay,
Good movie.
all right. Well, listen, you guys have a safe week, or I'll see you in a couple of days. Actually, so
All right.
sprinkle some roses
Hey.
around your room. Make it nice. Make it nice for the show.
Everybody
okay?
have a great week.
Oh, he's frozen. I get it.
Come on, you got to do the freeze frame.
Soylent Green is made out of people and people.